of updates. If any agency has an update that they would like to share, sort of short 3 minutes, just so that we can all understand various activities. And then I thought we would continue with some discussion that we've had last time, which is thinking about the harmonization discussion that BSI in Germany has helped lead. And we thought maybe we could focus on two topics: thinking about vulnerability data and thinking about coverage or scope. And then we can finish with a discussion of further harmonization topics. So as we kick off, the one last thing I would like to do is to thank you all for your patience. As you know, uh, it is ever exciting times. Our team is very committed to helping advance supply chain transparency and working with our partners around the world to try to make that happen. And we believe that there is interest across CISA and our leadership to also support that mission. And so be moving forward on that front. Uh, so we have heard from Milan and Eva as new members. Is there anyone else who is joining this discussion for the first time?
Here is I'm Mizuki Kitajima from Japan, and I'm working at the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry right now. I'm very looking forward to working with you. I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mizuki-san. We are looking forward to working with you.
Hi, I'm Dong Huang, and I'm from Taiwan, currently in the National Institute of Cybersecurity, and I'm now focused on the software architecture and the cybersecurity part. And nice to meet you guys, and hope to collaborate with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dory. Welcome.
I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Alessandro Colasanti. I work for the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology for the UK government in the software security team.
Welcome. Good morning, Alessandro. Anyone else who is joining for the first time?
Hi, this is Rick from Singapore, Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore, and this is the first time I'm joining this meeting. Happy to participate.
Thank you for joining. Welcome. All right. Well, it is great to see some new faces and some familiar faces. Dare I say friends by now? As you may be able to tell, we treat this as a fairly informal discussion. We're here because we are all experts in our own corner of cybersecurity. And ultimately our goal is to help our principals accomplish national missions. And so if you have thoughts, opinions, please don't be shy about sharing as you are comfortable. We are trying just to get things done the best we can. We'll start off with just an update on the document that you have all worked on, which is titled A Shared Vision of SBOM for Cybersecurity. This document was initially drafted by our friends at METI in Japan and has been slowly evolved as everyone has contributed to it and made sure it has met the needs. We understand that not everyone on this call has been able to formally sign off on it, but we are excited that so many of you have weighed in. We believe, I checked in yesterday with the team that handles the publication. You've been working with Carolyn, who is in a slightly different part of our organization, and Logan, and they are on track to publish it, we think, by the end of July. So here at CISA, it needs to go through 2 more steps. One is going to be going through our final lawyers. The lawyers always get to have to read things. And the second piece is getting the final approval from the acting heads of our cybersecurity division and of the entire agency. We believe that they will be generally supportive of this. We don't believe that they will have any substantive comments. If they do, if either the lawyers or the leadership do have anything to say, we will share those as a red line proposal and let everyone say yes or no. So we want to make sure this is not just being driven by our end. Wanted to let you know the status of that. As we get closer to a final publication, we will share that date in advance so that folks will can see. Are there any questions about this document or the process? Tommaso.
Hi, thanks so much. No, I mean, I just wanted to thank CISA for sort of all the work that you did and then managed to coordinate everyone on the publication. And maybe, Alan, you might have already seen the email exchanges, but for the rest of the membership, I just wanted to explain DG Connect, the position, just so that it comes to no surprise when you see sort of the final text. Unfortunately, we have some legal issues concerning being listed as co-authors of this document as CISA and the other participating organizations are listed. And so we discussed a solution that would sort of ease that concern, and DG Connect would just be listed as in the acknowledgements section as having contributed to this process and to this document. But I just wanted to reiterate that, of course, we shared CISA's goals, we share the sort of the ambition of trying to move this work forward, and for the next steps, we would also want to be like more, step up our involvement and make sure that we're also working with you to move this forward. So yeah, I just wanted to give everyone the same sort of information and background. And again, thanks for coordinating all of this.
Thank you. And for our purposes, we want everyone who can claim credit to claim credit. And the real value is that you have been part of this process and that you have weighed in and contributed. So we are excited to have our European Commission colleagues still involved. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this document? All right. This I've got to check in the chat. Yes. The nice thing about meetings is you never run out of them. So that has been nice. So we will go with the country updates if anyone has updates to share. Traditionally, it's easy just to sort of whip around in alphabetical order so that anyone who is taking notes can track and organize their notes. So if you are okay with that, we don't mean to call out anyone who may be not on the call. We know it's a little late, for example, in Australia. Is there anyone from ASC on the call right now? All right. Canada, anything? Please, Mizuki-san.
Sorry, I interrupted you, but I like to just the Japanese currently we are working on the the guideline, we are planning to make a new guideline towards the phase 2, more concrete action plan. And actually, Japan now has the domestic guideline of the introduction of SBOM for the software management. And we've interpreted it into, we also prepared the English version too. So I wanted to update, or I don't know what I wanted to introduce what we are doing now. We are pleased to discuss the further discussion with you. And if you have some time, and I would like to explain you our plan for the phase 2. Can I explain right now?
Yes, I think if you can offer a short update on your phase 2, that would be lovely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having a translation in English.
Okay, just a minute, please. Sorry. Bye-bye. Excuse me, everyone. Sorry for take your time a bit. And this is our current draft. Just our plan for the phase 2. This is just a Japanese tentative proposal. And these are can I show my presentation now? Okay.
We are seeing it, yes.
Yeah, and we would like to include first, we would like to put the introduction part first and the basic guidance and the overall view on the SBOM. This is what we already discussed as in the phase 1, but we just want to introduce, for example, the basic guideline for SBOM interaction, or the SBOM interaction phases can be separated into 3 phases, and the one is environment and system and development phase, and second one is SBOM production and sharing phase, and the third one will be the SBOM use and management phase. And moreover, we would like to put 3 parts, and the first one will be the environment and system development phase. This will be the kind of core discussion for to decide the scope of the SBOM application. For example, we will need to put the clarification based on who, what, when, where, why, how, and we also need to make the SBOM compliance model framework to determine the appropriate scope of implementation. This is for we need to put this for the user and the developers we need to respect both sides, so we need to make this. And the second one will be I'd like to introduce the production and sharing phase. And the first one will be the minimum elements of SBOM. We would like to, just our idea, but we would like to recommend to follow the NTIA definition. It's very standard in the world. So, and also we put the importance on how easy to read the SBOM format itself. So I recommend to use the SPDX or Cyclone DX. And the third one will be the SBOM use and management phase. We will discuss about it later probably, and these are we would like to include the vulnerability management process. These are our Japanese proposal for the phase 2 guidance. And actually, we are working on a bit based on we are working on and writing a bit the phase 2 guidance right now. So just I wanted to introduce it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mizuki-san. What I'm going to propose is that we ask you to bring this slide back up towards the end of our meeting as we discuss our next steps, because I think there are going to be some things, pardon me, that we will want to discuss further, such as the minimum elements piece, and we can plan out how we will proceed forward. So I will ask you to keep this slide ready.
Okay, sure. That's a
Thank you. Really appreciate that and very excited to have a direction for our next steps.
Thank you.
We're going to continue going around the horn for any other updates. And Corey, I saw that you had a hand up earlier. Is there anything you can share on what has been going on in Ottawa?
Yeah, we have two things. So first off, we've recently had an election, so now our parliament is operating again, which is nice. There's a bill C8 that's coming through regarding cybersecurity. Now it's more focused on telecoms, but there's a big component in it of supply chain security, managing vulnerabilities. So that bill comes with funding for my organization, and it also comes with responsibilities and powers of enforcement. So the hope is that we're going to be able to start applying some of this to that to help bolster security. And we also have the NATO element. We're going to be changing our funding. So my organization also got a lot of money for that, which is going to involve trying to harden systems and whatnot, which this plays a big part of. AI has kind of sidetracked some of this, except in the context of an AI bomb. So we're trying to do some ties to make sure this effort fits into the larger picture of what the government's moving towards. So stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Corey. It is always exciting when we get a little more funding. It's always a little frustrating when that funding comes with requirements to do work, right? You mentioned AI bomb. I will share a link in the chat to some work on SBOM and AI that recently came out of the G7. And I know that our German and Italian colleagues led some of that effort. But if you haven't seen it, I will share a link to that in just a moment.
Great.
And of course, that meeting was recently hosted in Ottawa. All right. Is there any update from our Czech colleagues?
Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, it's a little bit noisy here because I'm in Madrid right now and it's always noisy, but very nice. Yeah, so concerning the updates, we don't have any particular. I can just say that we are finishing our new cybersecurity strategy, and the discussions were also revolving around the SBOM and the idea behind the SBOM. And so what can I say from let's say from the consultation is that everyone, especially from the private sector, is looking forward to the let's say practical side of it, because the idea here is very well accepted, but there are some I would not say worries, but some questions regarding it, how it will work in practice. But other than that, we don't have any particular update.
All right. Thank you so much. I don't believe, I got an email from Martin this morning. I don't believe there's anyone on from Anissa, but in case I missed someone. All right, from our friends in the commission, Tommaso, I see you on camera.
Yes, no, thanks, Alan. I don't really have very substantial updates. Obviously, we are continuing to work on the implementation of the Cyber Resilience Act, which will, as you know, will enter into application in December 2027. And there is the requirement to draw up SBOMs. We're still reflecting internally on what approach and then whether to activate certain empowerments that we have in the legal text to carry out certain actions. And indeed, part of this reflection is also to see how this forum evolves and what kind of work comes out of it. So we're very excited also to see which developments come from here. Yeah, more in general, I mean, we're having obviously some discussions also with industry and experts. We have an expert group composed of member states and private sector on the implementation of the Cyber Resilience Act. And I think we already hinted at the discussion on SBOM during the last meeting, and in the next meeting, which will take place after the summer break, we will probably hold a dedicated discussion on SBOMs also to let's say, hear and address the concerns that, for example, Jan was mentioning from the private sector over the practical implementation. So nothing really concrete for now, but it's very much high on our agenda.
Fantastic, thank you. France, any chance Caroline has joined? Anyone from Alcy? All right. Of course, our friends at BSI.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, we are working on an update of our technical guideline right now. And concrete, we are trying to look how the data fields we defined in our technical guideline can be represented in the two formats, SPDX and CycloneDX. So we're working on a mapping there. And when that's finished, we want to publish a new version.
Great, thank you. Looking forward to hearing about that. And excuse me, I did see that Florence has joined. Florence, is there anything that you'd like to share?
Yes. We have experimented with open source tool to generate SBOM, and we found that tools designed to use common formats are often not compatible with each other. I mean that when you generate SBOM with one tool, usually another tool cannot read correctly what has been generated. In particular, I think it's a problem of component naming that does not name the components using the same way, so they are not compatible one with the other. So I don't know if you have already discussed about that during these meetings.
This is a documented problem, especially in, as you pointed out, the open source tooling, that one, some of the free tooling is not of great quality, especially if all they are doing in some languages is using the lock file or the manifest file. And two, as you pointed out, software identity is a known hard problem. And how do you map the name from your software build to the vulnerability database, whether you are using CVE or private database or the new European database? There are some ways around it. I think for me personally, the direction is going to be to using fuzzy matching technology. And as much as I hate to say AI in a meeting, this is, I think, one of those areas that will be very useful. There has been some research on this, and there will be some research that will be published shortly on a Plugfest exercise that Carnegie Mellon University did, where we looked at a number of different tools creating SBOMs of the same software, not to show that they are different. We all know that there is differences, but to understand why and how we might be able to bring the differences together. We hope that paper will be public in a month, and we will share that with everyone. And if anyone else has research that they have seen, please share it in the chat.
Thank you.
And I will drop in a link to the G7 AI for SBOM for AI paper, which is a link to BSI. So I will turn things over to Michael. Oh, we already heard from you, excuse me. Sorry, forgive me, it is a little early. Do we have anyone from the Indian National Search?
Yes.
Excellent. Dr. Bahuguna, please.
I am Ashutosh. I'm Ashutosh from CERT India. So we issued this technical guidelines for the SBOM. And after that, some regulators in India, they mandated it for their regulated entities. Then after a few months of that, those circulars and directions, we got some list of the challenges in implementation of the SBOM. So, I mean, those are some challenges are like the legacy and the system which is already in place, how to get the SBOM for that. Another is that there is still some hesitation from vendor end sharing the SBOM or composition of the software. So, I mean, we are at this stage right now that we are thinking that how we can, facilitate and what should be the role of national agency to facilitate the effective implementation of the SBOM. So one attempt we are trying to do is to bring the industry, the solution providers, and the entities who are going to implement SBOM, and that will be facilitated by CERT for some interactions. So we compiled those queries and challenges, and some version after approval, we are happy to share. I mean, that will give you the kind of, the feedback that may come when we are asking them to implement it. Joint guidance, which this group is going to release, will of course will provide that awareness and the push required from the industry. Apart from that, I mean, we are also looking from the inputs and the feedback that how we can go ahead, maybe doing some reading sessions, maybe doing some interaction with the industry to build such a solutions that will make it's easy for entities to comply and integrate SBOM in their vulnerability management process. So that's what we are doing right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tommaso, to my end as well.
Yes, sorry, I'm having some issue. Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, and no, just a question for the Indian colleague, and it's a silly one. We tried to go through your technical guideline and read it, but actually it seems we cannot access the CERT website, so we cannot download it. So could I ask you to just send it maybe, I don't know, either here in the chat or because that would be useful. Thank you so much, and sorry about that.
Excellent, thank you. And Ashutosh, I can also tell you that the SEBI guidance has started to get attention here in the US among businesses, because of course, applying to all publicly traded companies in India is a large scope. So we're excited to learn more about that. All right, our friends in Italy.
Yes, hi Alan, thank you, and good morning and good evening, everyone. So yes, we have just a brief update to share with the group. Is that basically there was a decree from the Prime Minister following a law that was approved end of last year, and in this decree, basically we are basically introducing the requirement of SBOMs and HBOMs for all kind of procurement of government agencies. So similarly, I think to what the cybersecurity executive order in the US mandated in 2021. And so right now, our agency is being tasked to writing some guidelines for the implementation of what the decree asks for. And so I think we've been looking at the HBOM document from CISA. I think that's a great place to start. And you know, in the drafting of these guidelines, which we have started to draft, we are also exploring, and we'll have to make recommendations on formats for SBOMs. So we're thinking about SPDX and CycloneDX, and also tools for agency and government agencies and other ministries to be able to use such tools to quickly verify the you know, the SBOMs that deployers and providers will have to provide as part of the procurement process of software tools. So yeah, this is an ongoing effort. I think this group is really very useful in trying to get everyone's feedback on what other countries are doing in this space, and you know, recommendations that are adopted, you know, as with as much as a broad audience as possible. And I think Alan, of course, welcome to, you know, discuss more bilaterally about HBOMs, because I think I don't know about, yeah, I think in this space, you know, maybe there's you know, less national regulation which wraps around HBOM. So maybe that's an area where we can further discuss bilaterally how to start implementing HBOMs also for national procurement. And happy to hear about, you know, other countries' position on integrating also HBOMs in the process. For which components? Because of course HBOM for a router or for a firewall is different from HBOM from an SOC, for example. So I think it's a different kind of beast, if you want. But again, happy to hear feedback from everyone on this. Thank you.
Grazie, Nicolo. Thank you. I will follow up with you on that. Yes, my personal opinion is that HBOM is different from SBOM, but it rhymes. It has certain things that are similar. Japan, Meti, is there a quick update you have on your national guidance?
We don't have any updates regarding national guideline. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry for
Thank you.
nothing to update. Thank
you. And our friends in Korea, in Kisa. All right. Thank you. And by the way, no update is totally okay. See, anyone from the Netherlands on? Thank you. I understand, Kisa. We are happy to have any update that you may share if you want to let us know in the chat.
Hi,
Jan.
I'm from the Netherlands. Yeah. I don't really have any update regarding national guidelines. We have done some research on SBOM that might be interesting to share, but I'm not sure if this is the right moment for that.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have anyone on from New Zealand? It is quite late there. With anyone on from NASK in Poland?
Yes, hello. Today I'm a replacement and I have to listen to you. And now I don't have any comments.
Okay, well, Simon, thank you so much for joining. We have Milan, anything you want to share from Slovakia?
So no updates from me yet. I will be quiet for the beginning since I'm new here. But over time, you will find that I'm quite opinionated about stuff, and I'm especially invested in like matching to the actual software. And I had some heated discussions with Thomas Schmidt from the BSI, who is one of the guys responsible for Oasis CS AFC stuff. And yeah, I would very much like to move this towards direction where there are some guidelines for the vendors how to actually enable the matching in the first place. So not only the format, but also matching to the particular names of the software and convention stuff like this.
I think that's all important problems. Excellent. And I have also had many conversations with BSI's Thomas Schmidt. He's smarter than me, so it doesn't end up well for me.
Yeah, indeed, he's a smart guy.
Anything from CSA in Singapore?
So hi, we are very supportive of whatever that is done, and so far, in Singapore, we are also working on some other advisories that's talking about recommending the type of format that's being used for the SBOM, and yeah, nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have some new folks on from Taiwan and NICS. Is there anyone who wants to share anything from Taiwan?
Hi, here's from Taiwan, and let me share something from our groups here. Okay, so can you see the presentation point here?
Yes.
Okay, so currently in Taiwan, we are planning to have a drop on the standard implementation of the SBOM, specializing on the relating tool, and we hope this guideline will be, the drafting guideline will be done by the late October in this year, and it should focus on 4 points of the following parts. The first one will be the promotion of the SBOM standardization implementations here. So with our working group are currently rushing on the establishment of a unified process for how to creating and maintain a pipeline for the SBOM implementations here, and it should also including the formatting process decision, mainly focused on the SPDS and the Cyclone DX, and also for the support of the small regulatory mechanism. We are collaborating on some authorities that should have some development of the comprehensive review on this side and how to oversee this mechanism efficiently. Then we are also want to share some practical SBOM experience to industries. And since we want to promote this part in the Taiwan's local industries, we will have to hosting some cybersecurity forums here and also strike some maybe experience sharing session or workshop for the supply chains. And we hope that the local enterprise and expert will sharing kind of experience among industries and make this part booming in Taiwan here. And also we want to focus on the education and training for this part. So we are also going to have some training lessons or courses for the industries that are willing and focusing on this part. Yes, and that's the update for the currencies in Taiwan.
Thank you so much. That's very exciting that you're moving forward on that. And we're happy to help in any way that we can. Is a comment from Matthew?
Yeah, hi, hello. I want to get some more information about it. Currently, we have the tool, we have the events, vulnerability and alert and notification system already running for about 2 years. And currently we also build the tool to convert to and from the PURL and all the compatible format, so we can generate the SBOM with tools like a Sift or whatever, and to feed in the event system. Yeah, and we also have a team or group of experts that to build out something like an advisor team or the consultant team from the government. Will take to visit all the Class A or critical infrastructure systems, and to help them to identify the weakness or vulnerabilities, and also help them to adopt the process or whatever CI or whatever, and to use this tool and to accomplish what we are targeting. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it's very exciting work. And now we come to UK. I know we have someone from DCIT on. We might have someone from NCSC. Please, Chris.
Yeah, hi Alan. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just going to update you on a joint piece of work that NCSC and DCIT have worked on, called the Software Security Code of Practice, which has also been co-sealed by our friends in Canada. So we launched this last month, and it's aimed at sort of both vendors of software and procurers of software. Sort of aiming, it's got 14 sort of key principles, which are all around doing the right things about producing software. It's voluntary, and one of the principles that we've included is that the suppliers should understand what's in their software. Obviously, SBOMs being the key method of doing that, and sort of maintain those third-party relationships throughout the life cycle of the software. So Lorna's just putting into the chat a bit more detail about what this actually is. So this is aimed at sort of commodity level software. As we say, it's voluntary at the moment, but we're seeing some of our bigger organisations like the National Health Service has really picked up on it. Our Ministry of Defence is looking at it, and we've got quite good coverage in our finance sector. So we're looking at how we can sort of roll this out and push this out and start to maybe make it a bit more kind of towards the mandatory scale as we sort of move it forwards. We've also got something called the cyber resilience test facilities. So these are a paid service. So if you've got software that needs a higher level of assurance, you can pay for it to go through this process, which will also sort of check that you've got those third-party components sort of documented. And really, this is going to be sort of form the backbone of our security approach for software in the UK for a while. So we're looking at how we can sort of further push this out and help people to kind of achieve the principles outlined in those documents.
Thank you, Chris. We've been excited. We were excited to see that, and glad that there's been some positive response.
Thanks, Alan.
All right. Pardon me. This is great to see all these updates. It has been a while since we've met. That's our fault. I want to do one quick update from CISA that you might be interested in, which is we are planning on updating the 2021 NTIA minimum elements. And so let me give you a very quick overview of that plan. With the request that this is being shared TLP red, not for further disclosure. This is not public yet. So the NTI minimum elements, and a few of you have already mentioned these, were published in 2021 when SBOMs were quite new, tools were immature, and we now have a lot of experience on generation and what is easy and what is still hard. We think there's been value in having sort of a widely used definition, and not everyone uses it. It does not touch on all use cases, but it has been sort of a good minimum level, right? Our goal in the update was to help clarify certain things and expand only when we felt it was needed for security. So we are proposing 4 new fields. One is generation context, to explicitly say, is this data from source code? Is it from a build process? Or is it from a post-build analysis process? We think it'd be useful to list any tools that were used, just so people can sort of say, oh, is that from SIFT? Is that from a proprietary tool, et cetera? I think it's useful to have a hash, but only if you have the document. And licensing is tricky because we need to show why licensing is important for security, because we are a security agency. We are clarifying a few of the fields, including software producer, being very clear about what should go in that field. And if you don't have certain things, what else can you do? So for example, if there isn't a entity that would be the software producer, you can use the GitHub repository or a few other options. Identifiers, we want to explicitly include Pearls and others, and then focusing on dependency relationship, and in particular backporting or implementing a standard. The biggest advance is the 2021 NTIA document. Talks about only having the top level. We try to be explicit about transitive dependencies that they should be in. If we have time today, we can talk about the challenge of figuring out what should go in the SBOM. We use the term coverage to describe how do you put in everything that you care about. We define it in the vulnerability management use case, which is to say, if a downstream SBOM consumer finds a new vulnerability, if it's not in the SBOM, they don't have to worry. So we're defining it negatively, right? If it's not in the SBOM, it's not in my software from a vulnerability management perspective. So that's the overview of what we're trying to do. We hope to share that publicly for draft by this summer, hopefully before the end of July. We will find out. And the goal there is to say, not this is the permanent approach, but this is the proposal, and get feedback from industry and of course from our partner governments. So happy to chat more about that. We can't share that much right now, but we're always happy to talk. Okay, we have 35 minutes left. So what I thought we would do is spend 15 minutes talking about some of the definition harmonization, because as you saw, we are proposing some new definitions in the US government. There's some definitions from India. BSI is updating theirs. And so we can talk a little bit about that. And then in the last 15 minutes, we can revisit Meti's proposal to talk about next steps. Michael, can I put you on the spot from BSI to briefly summarize the question of harmonization?
Yeah, you can. Don't know if I can share the table I've provided in the last meetings. Just need to log in on my screen. And you would need to let me in to the meeting in a minute.
The joy of security making things easier.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder for ourselves that security rules can be expensive.
Yeah, we are the federal agency on the security of information systems, not on the functioning of those information systems.
While we are waiting, I'm going to ask people to start thinking about your calendar and when we might have our next meeting and whether the end of July might work. I know that people start to take summer holidays, but it would be nice if we could meet before September. So start thinking about it. All right. Over to you, Herr Schuster.
So I'm trying to share my screen. Let's see how that goes. All right, you should see something in a minute. Till then, I can just recap what I did. I did try to have a look at the guidances from the different agencies and the different countries and try to see how or what data fields they defined and in comparison to the data fields we defined, and where we do kind of have a common understanding on certain data fields and where we might differ in a data field itself, or where the different guidances have more data fields than others, for example. So, and what I found out, or what you can see, it's just from a view that nearly all of the guidances out there are relying on the minimum data fields from the NTIA. So those data fields are basically in every guidance which is out there. And then, as you can see on the right, there are some more data fields, and that depends on which guidance it is. So it gets even more. I think this could be from India, and I think the last one is from us. So there are way more data fields in the guidance than just the NTIA minimum elements. Looking at the minimum elements data fields, nearly every guidance has a different name for the data fields, and they also differ slightly in what they really want in those data fields. So as an example, that's just the naming, but I think that's just putting India on the spot. The guidance from India says they want the creator of the SBOM. For us, it's the author of the SBOM. Then there's the SBOM author name. And in the minimum elements, I think it's the author of the SBOM. So they all address the same data field, but they have all of them have a slightly different name and slightly different naming. And then I have to maybe in the next version put it in, on the explanations of those data fields, there are also some slight differences between all of the guidances. So I think that could be a first step, trying to harmonize those data fields we all want in an SBOM and see that we all get a common understanding on those data fields, because I think that's also something which could improve tooling and which would help industry to understand what really needs to be in those data fields, and then also making it easier to compare the different SBOMs created for different applications or requirements. So that's one thing on harmonizing. And then the next step would be, or in my opinion, could be that we also have a look on how we can evolve from the minimum elements and how we can get a common understanding on the data fields which really need to be in an SBOM, also from the perspective of security. And maybe I know that licensing is a very hard topic to be discussed, because I had a lot of discussions where people say you don't need licensing, that doesn't matter for security. In our opinion, it does. On the one hand, it shows you need to know a license or under what license a certain component wants to know if you can use those components in the right way. And there are also licenses which prevent you from changing anything in the component. So if there's a vulnerability in a component, then there might be a license that prohibited or that tells you that you can't mitigate the vulnerability because you're not allowed to change anything in the component. So that's our view. I know that there are a lot of other views. So those things might be something where we can say we want, or it's recommended to have it in an SBOM. You don't need to have it in an SBOM. So where we can have a look at what are the new minimum or kind of the new minimum elements we all agree on. And then maybe we can find data fields where we say it's nice to have that in an SBOM because it belongs to the whole concept of an SBOM. So I think that's something we would like to discuss further. Another thing we would like to discuss is, and that was already mentioned today, how can an SBOM be used and where does it belong into the vulnerability management and the vulnerability handling? So for us, the SBOM is just a tool. It's just a list of the components. For the vulnerability management, it depends on how you use the list. So we see it in the way that you get an SBOM, or even from a manufacturer point of view, the manufacturer creates the SBOM for his product with all the components he integrated. Then he uses this SBOM and compares it to vulnerability databases. So he gets a first hint if there is a vulnerability in a component that his product might be affected. And then the next step is comparing it to security advisories, where we at BSI see the Common Security Advisory Framework, CSAF, which you can use to share the vulnerability information in the VEX format, so that a manufacturer can get the security advisories from the manufacturers of the components he integrated, and then he can use that and again compare it to the components in his SBOM to get a clearer view on, is the component really affected as stated in the vulnerability database, or maybe there's a function which I don't use in my product or in the component, so the vulnerability isn't affecting my product. So that's also something we would like to discuss, how an SBOM fits into the whole picture of the vulnerability management. And we at BSI, coming back to the tooling, we right now have a project where we are integrating CSAF into Dependency Track. And Dependency Track is a tool from the developers or the maintainers of Cyclone DX, or it's from the same guys as Cyclone DX, and you can use it to put your own SBOMs in there or SBOMs you get, and then there's the possibility to also integrate certain vulnerability databases into Dependency Track. So there's a matching between the components in your SBOM and the vulnerability databases. And what we are doing is to also integrate CSAF, so that if a manufacturer puts out CSAF advisories, you can integrate that into Dependency Track and then compare those components again to the components in your SBOM. So that also tooling is something where we see the need for improvement. And I think I've nearly heard all of the problems we see from somebody today. So one of the big things there, again, is naming, to compare the components in your SBOM with the components which are stated in the vulnerability databases and the components which are stated in the CSAF advisories. So naming is a big issue for us, and how we can solve that. Also something we would like to discuss. And in general, the interoperability between Cyclone DX and SPDX is kind of a big issue, because again, different tools produce different SBOMs. If you can't convert those into each other, then it's very hard for manufacturers to implement and to use SBOMs. So I think a lot of the topics are in a way connected. And if we can harmonize certain things, then I think it would help in a lot of those aspects. Questions?
Questions for Mika? So just a question for BSI, as you've you have a fairly well fleshed out set of definitions for your technical guidelines. How well does that play with existing tools when you've looked at, current best practices for generating an SBOM? How easy is it for you to get what you're looking for?
It's not too easy. So we are in talks with manufacturers who want to produce SBOMs complying to our technical guideline. And there are certain data fields right now where the tooling isn't there, or the tooling isn't evolved enough, or doesn't fit with some of our data fields. And the next thing is that in SPDX and in CycloneDX, some or manufacturers don't know where to put our data fields. So that's also the reason why we are doing the mapping, and we are in talks with SPDX and CycloneDX to map our data fields into both formats so that it's easier to understand how we see certain things and where we want the data fields.
Was discussing that we got around 120 kind of the the issues we compiled from the finance sector regulator. As you were saying, the SEBI and Reserve Bank of India, they mandated it for the banks and the MII, market infrastructure institutions. So then that list of those compiled challenges we shared with the industry. So as per as per our this thing, the challenge is that as an ecosystem, everybody is growing, and there is nothing concrete and ready. It's look more to us is the kind of the journey or the roadmap we are following. So to enable, we need to enable the industry also and make them understand. There are other concerns of the sharing, even sharing of the SBOM, as they said that is having a compositions of this thing, and that may harm their competitive advantage and things like that. So how to share the SBOM in a secure way, secure manner? What will be the role of
We may have had a technical hiccup from Ashutosh. We'll see if he can come back. Could someone wave so that I can know that it's not my technical? Thank you. Okay. Always the challenge when someone freezes. Is it me or is it you? So I want to make sure that we can, while we wait for Ashutosh to come back, that we have time to talk about sort of joint directions. Any further thoughts on Mikhail's presentation for the challenge of different national definitions and how we can perhaps align them? Or if anyone has an opinion on, should government try to lead industry and tooling, which is proposed standards that are maybe above what is currently possible, or should governments try to sort of meet tooling, which is say this is what we think is possible for tooling, right? One is using government to make technology better. The other is looking at the world. Does anyone have an opinion one way or the other? So to ask a slightly different way, right? I think both are good philosophies, just as a question of where should we be on SBOM. Okay, Jan.
Thank you very much. I think it depends on what the, let's say, private and the others know about the problem. So, for example, in the Czech Republic, there are many initiatives such as SBOM and technologies industry-led, because let's say they are more mature or they already have the plans of their implementation. So they try to coordinate it with us. So we, let's say, wouldn't surprise them with our new strategy or something that might be intrusive to the market. On the other hand, there are some other initiatives and technology when they are actually asking us to lead because they don't have enough information, they don't have enough contacts in the country. So it depends. And concerning the SBOM, there's only a small portion of let's say companies and institutions that actually have the idea. So at least try to promote the question and then see what's the situation. So I guess it's also on an individual basis.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Tommaso, then Michał.
No, thanks. I mean, you ask a very complicated question. You know, it's not a black or white. It's not one or the other. It's obvious that we need to be aware of what the reality is, but I think it is also important, given the broad mandate that we have in the European Union for having SBOMs, that we also try and use this opportunity to make the technology better and to make sure that what we're asking is feasible, concrete, but also does not simply sit at what is currently the status quo, but rather actually tries to increase and improve the security outcomes. So this is a bit what we're thinking and how we will try and make the SBOM mandate a bit more concrete. So yeah, I mean, great to see these discussions here.
Okay, quick notes from Michael and Dory, and then I do want to give Mehdi a few minutes to propose next steps.
Yeah, I would also agree that it depends, because if the obligations in the SBOMs are mandatory and you can't fulfill them because the tooling isn't there, then it doesn't work. But if everybody does what he wants, and right now, if it's just the minimum elements, I don't think that's state of the art anymore. So in a way, if somebody can tell those are the minimum requirements we want, then tools can evolve and then things get more secure. So it depends on how mandatory the requirements are, in my opinion.
I like it. Dory?
Okay, I agree with us and think that we also consider that it depends in cases. And in our cases that we see that kind of sports things in Taiwan is still growing and it's not so popular currently. So we do think that as a public sector, so we should have the responsibility to prove these things that will be helpful to regulatory or external dependencies here. So that's why we consider the public sector should have to push in this process into the industries, private sectors, and so on here. Yeah.
Thank you. And Nicolo, the last word on this topic.
Yes, thank you. So just to reiterate that we agree with what colleagues said, just said before, but and also just wanted to add 2 cents saying that I think it's hard to envision for agencies like ours to actually like develop or R&D, like do some R&D. However, our role is more to you know, produce policy and guidance. And with that in mind, you know, we should try to make sure that we streamline and facilitate compliance efforts. And I'm saying that, you know, especially in Europe, but also like internationally for companies around the world, so that, you know, while we strengthen and foster, you know, more cybersecurity and resilience, we also do not, you know, we also try to streamline compliance processes without trying to overburden companies. I think that's something we have to keep in mind. So in this sense, harmonization efforts and developing and, you know, tools that that facilitate that, I think it's a very valuable objective.
Excellent. Thank you, Nicolo. All right. Actually, that was a great segue. The last comments from Dori and Nicolo set us up to say, well, what should we collectively be doing to harmonize things? So, Mizuki-san, can we turn things back over to you to have you put that on the screen and maybe suggest what would you suggest that would be useful now, and especially in light of the discussion around different types of elements and requirements.
Okay, it's my turn, and I would like to present you the Japanese version of proposal here. And actually, as we discussed, the harmonization is very important. So probably we need to discuss the production minimum elements, or as the first part, the Alan explained, currently the minimum elements is revising. So, but probably it's later we can discuss this. But we also have the issues such as the discussed about the format examples, for example, the SPDX and CycloDX harmonization. And also we have various types of matter we need to discuss here. And the first one will be the environments and system development phase. And this is the level 2 step to clarify the scope of the SBOM application. And for example, the classification, this is kind of in private information can be you know, included, but the who, why, when, where, why, how, and we need to follow the SBOM compliance model then. And the second phase will be the minimum elements and format. And lastly, we need to discuss the vulnerability management. This is the most we need to be careful, but this is an important step. Do you have any opinion about this or something? It's better for Alan-san to direct what kind of the steps we need to take for the next meeting. It will be helpful for us, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Mizuki-san. Are there any quick reactions based on what Mizuki said?
No, maybe, sorry, hi, Alan. From my side, just a quick question on sort of what Missouri, you mean on the scope of the SBOM application? Is this more hinting at, let's say, what the coverage of an SBOM should be, so which level of dependencies it should cover, or rather about the uses that the SBOM and sort of the government mandates that that one should be looking at? So is it just for procurement, or is it also for other purposes? I don't know if the question is clear.
Actually, we plan to focus more on the first one, the kind of the scope. What kind of information should be included to clarify the origin of the software to find out the vulnerability, but the latter one should be considered too. This is my answer so far.
So I think the who, what, where, why, when is a useful frame. I think the existing joint guidance has started looking at some of the roles. As I understand the term compliance model, I worry that focuses more on specific policies rather than the technology. And I think there will be differences in, for example, a national requirement for government purchasing versus, for example, the CRA requirement, which just says one must be available if asked. So I think maybe focusing on the compliance model, we could put that out of scope.
Thank you for a clear explanation.
Some things might be easy. So for example, I asked in the chat, based on what I understand it, every country has sort of said, and every organization has said, there are two formats. It would be nice if there was only one, but we're all going to just sort of acknowledge that there are two and try to work with the two of them to align. Is everyone on that page? Thank you, Matthew, for sharing that. And then, because again, at the end, you talked about the vulnerability management use case. For me, I think that is a very good place for us to start, since I think, one, we are all oriented around cybersecurity, and that allows us to have a very specific lens. And Michael also talked about this as well, which is we can discuss whether a given field helps us with that mission. So for next step, since we only have 2 minutes left, one, just on the date, would July 31st help? No, we have, you're shaking your head, Michael.
Yeah, I'm on holiday, so maybe somebody else from BSI has to take over.
Are you on holiday for that whole week?
Yes.
Okay.
And the next week.
And I don't want to get into August because I know that's when lots of holidays come up. So I was trying to see if we could have one more meeting before September. Are folks okay with us trying to schedule something that week and we can plan in advance? What I will for next steps, what I will do is I will try to send out just a short summary of this meeting. And then by email, we can propose a little more focused agenda of here are some things that could go in the next document. And we can use the next meeting to discuss that. I'm not sure if we wanted to have true harmonization. That is a lot of work. That will take a lot of time. And so what I liked about Mizuki-san's presentation is it allows us to have something that is another smaller step as we try to align different definitions. But I think it will be helpful to sort of say, hey, here are at least a couple of fields that we all agree on if we can. And so maybe we can start that conversation by email and share some thoughts of, okay, we all have slightly different fields, but are there some things that we can suggest for definitions, especially given recent work that organizations have come up with. Germany is proposing new definitions. Italy is proposing some definitions, so we can sort of try to align. And of course, we are here at CISA. All right, we're at the end of our meeting. It is wonderful to see you all. Thank you very much for engaging and for joining, especially if it is after the end of the workday. We are looking forward to continuing to work with you, and hopefully within 1 month, we will have an international document so that we can show the entire world that SBOM is good and valuable. So we're very excited about that. Thank you all. And if you are planning one, please enjoy your summer holidays. We'll plan on the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your holidays.